Gail Lewis and her trashy husband and the side chick. I know many of you have sent this to me. I was alerted on Thursday, but I've been really, really busy. So I just wanted to take time to thank those of you who sent it to me. We're just gonna go through it. I know everybody's heard about it, but I have a couple of stuff to say. And I'll just do both sides of the story because she came out later and said something else. Happy Monday to you, my darlings. I'm up early. I want to thank you for your love and support. Thank for those of you who are signing up for the husband profile course, which begins April the 6th. I absolutely appreciate you. If you want to take the course, you must email me so that I can have your name on the list. My site is supposed to be ready any day now. Also, thank you to those of you who are signing up for the 23,000 Guys book club. We're going to start this week. I am just waiting for about 2 or 3 more ladies to email me and just to confirm that they are taking the course. If you are taking the My Husband Profile course, please, ma'am, please take the 23 Types of Guys. You might meet a book reading club because in order for you to understand the husband profile course, I really think you need to have the basics of my idea of dating and how to gather data and so on and so forth. So thank you again for your love and your support. I absolutely love you. I am wearing one of my favorite sweaters. You will not believe I've had this sweater since high school. Could you believe it? I've had this sweater for over 20 years. I love this sweater. It is one of my favorite sweaters. And of course, only wear it once a year, wash it, roll it up, and stick it in the drawer for next winter. Thank you for your love and support. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in, Miss Gail Lewis, child. And the husband and the side chick and child. It's just messy. But go ahead, girl. Say what you got to say.
How you like that? You don't like that?
So basically, she's saying here that's her husband and the
Hey
side chick.
y'all. Well, it's story
I'm
time
gonna
in
speed this
regards
up a
to a
little bit.
video I posted this morning of my husband and his mistress at the Atlanta airport. So let me just preface this by saying I'm a nice person. I'm a sweet person. I'll do anything for my family and my friends. And I'll help anybody out. Try to stay in my own lane. I try not to bother anyone or do any of that. But when people play in my face and plot and plan and do foul stuff, I'm not so nice anymore. And that's how most of us are. So let me start by saying on October 29th of 2022, my husband was scheduled to come home from a trip from Europe. He told me he'd been over there working and he worked a lot for his, his corporate job. I thought he was working anyway. Told me he had a speaking engagement in Europe. So I wanted to make sure that I had dinner and everything ready for him by the time he got home. So I called the airline. So I knew the flight number and I was driving. So I couldn't, type it in my computer because usually if you just type a flight number in, it'll just pop up what time the flight's going to land. So I had to call the airline that day. And when I asked the flight attendant, or not the flight attendant, I'm sorry, but the representative, what time the flight came in, he asked for my husband's name. And I was like, you don't need his name. I was like, just give me the flight information. If I typed it in, it's just the flight information. You don't need his name. So he was adamant about me giving the name. So I gave him the name. He comes back a few minutes later and he says, Mr. Such and Such and Miss What's her name landed 20 minutes ago. So I'm in shock because I've been married 25, 26 years and I'm thinking I'm just married to this upstanding citizen. So I said, no, just his name. I don't know who that other person is, but just his name. And the guy states again, he was like, no, Mr. Such and Such and Miss What's her name just landed.
I want you to remember this. She says, I've been married over 20 years and I just thought I have been married to this upstanding citizen. Okay. We gonna put a comment right there because we gonna come back to that. All right.
A few minutes ago, like 20 minutes ago. So I'm sitting in the Kroger parking lot like, what does this mean? I'm in a state of shock actually. So my head is spinning by this time. My blood pressure's going up. And I'm like, what does this mean? So I'm like, okay. So right after that, my husband calls and I was trying to hold it in, trying to hold what I was feeling in. So I was like, I'm not gonna say anything right now. I'm gonna wait till he gets to the house. Because he was like, oh, I missed you. It's been a long, long week. It's the hardest money I ever earned, but I wish you could have gone with me. And I was like, okay, well, you can tell me about your trip when you get home. So, okay, stand by y'all for the rest.
Okay, stand by for the rest of it, child. Let's just go to the next slide. Some people say they don't believe the whole flight attendant thingy.
So, okay, y'all. So when he comes home, I greet him at the door, give him a hug and a kiss and ask him about his trip while he's unpacking. And so I'm like, show me some pictures from your trip. And he was like, oh, I didn't take any pictures. I was running around working and we were just so busy and on the go. We were just, just going to and fro. So I was like, oh, okay. So we go to have dinner. I was like, hey, I called the airlines to see what time your flight was getting in. And I said, they told me there was someone else on your itinerary. And I tell him the person's name. And he was like, who was that? And I was like, I don't know. You tell me. He was like, oh, I don't know who that is. And he was like, he said, they must have made a mistake. So I was like, well, okay. Like, so I went along with it, but something about it, my spirit just was not feeling right. So I was like, something about this is just not right. So that night when we go to bed, he's sleeping over there just snoring. I'm over there tossing and turning because I was like, something about this just does not feel right. So something tells me in the morning when you get up, go check your credit card bills that are on the counter. So the credit card bills are all stacked up out on our kitchen counter, and I don't open them because I don't pay the bill. I mean, it's American Express bill each month, they be high. So I was like, I ain't got none on it, so no need for me to open them. But that was my account, and I added him to it years ago, and I just let him open it, open the bill and pay it. And there was sometimes I would open it, but most times I would just look at my portion of it and just keep it moving. So that morning when I get up, I go to church, and he tells me that he had to leave because he had to catch up on work and all that kind of stuff later on in the day. So I was like, okay. So I go to church, and when I come back from church, I get ready to go to the Falcon game. But something was like, check one of those credit card bills before you go. When I opened up that bill, the woman that the airline employee mentioned that was on his itinerary, her name was up and down my credit card bill. Flights here, flights there, flights to Paris, Delta vacations, a country here, an island there, something. And this was in 1 month. So I'm sitting there like, what in the world? So by this time, y'all, I'm steaming, and I got to go to this Falcon game with my girlfriends and try to act like I'm having a good time. But the whole time, my mind is racing. So I was like, okay. So I come home that night. I stack up all those bills. I got bills for like 8 months worth of bills. Actually, that was October. So 10 months. I pulled from December of 21 to October of 22. And when I tell you, it was very telling. This woman's name was on every one of my bills for each of those months several times. So while I thought he was out working and telling me that I couldn't travel with him because, he didn't want to get distracted.
What?
Oh, he had a travel mate, all right. He had one. Stand by for part 3.
Wow. So he didn't want her to travel with him because he didn't want to get distracted. I
go through all these credit.
That is a telltale sign, child. And my husband used to travel. He doesn't travel as much as he used to anymore. But there is no, I don't want you to come because, I don't want to get distracted. How am I going to distract you? Girl, if my husband would have ever told me that, we would have been down at the divorce like, well, I want to be distracted. Anyways, child, let's see what Gail else have to say.
Card bills, finds this girl's name for months on my credit card bills for the last 10 months specifically. So
and some of the people online is saying that credit cards don't list the name. Apparently you don't have the good credit cards. You if you have American Express, they list that. That's what she said. American Express lists that name. They list the name of the people for the flights. I bought my mama a ticket the other day. It's 2 tickets. Her name is on my credit card bill. What are y'all talking about? Not because the one little janky credit card you have don't list the names, but they're ones that list names. My mama name is on my credit card bill. Okay. Okay, Gail, come on, girl. Tell us the story.
So at that time, I try to call his phone, call my husband's phone and text him. No answer, no text back. So I called his boy's house. He told me he was going to his boy's house to watch football. No answer from him. So I texted him and was like, hey, is he with you? No answer back. Then all of a sudden, here come my phone ring. It's my husband. Like, oh, I ran out to get something to eat. Like, what's up? And I was like, oh, you know what's up? I said, and I started repeating the girl's name. And he was like, why you keep saying that name? And I was like, I kept saying the name. So he was like, well, I don't understand why you keep calling the name. And I was like, oh, yeah. I said, your gig is up. I was like, you nasty motherfucker. I was like, your gig is up. So he was like, I don't know what's going on. I'm on my way home. I was like, bring your ass on home. I was like, come home. Because by this time, I'm furious. So I hang up the phone. I'm just like livid, y'all. I promise you. I think my blood pressure was on like 1,000 that day. So he comes in and he come in like all Billy Bad. Like, why you keep mentioning that name? And I was like, you tell me why I keep mentioning that name. So I was like, I'm going to ask you this. I said, I'm going to ask you one time. I said, no, I know the truth. I was like, was such and such on this flight with you? He was like, no, I don't know why you keep mentioning that name. I don't know who that is. I said, I'm going to ask you one more motherfucking time. And
but you already said, I'm going to ask you one time, and he lied. And now you go, I'm going to ask you one more time. Like, you just keep giving him chances to lie to you. Anyways, child.
Don't lie to me. And it was like this mask fell off of him. And he sat down in his chair and he was like, yeah, she was with me.
Ooh.
And I was like, okay. I said, so that's your girlfriend? He was like, yeah.
Ooh.
I said, well, how long have you been with her? He said, a couple of years.
Years.
And I was like, okay. So by this time, I can't hold it together. I mean, I think all I remember doing, I remember crying, and I had a really, really bad headache. And all he said to me was, this was what he says was really kind of like cut me. He was like he was relieved. He was like, at least I ain't got to lie no more. I'm sorry I hurt you, but at least I don't have to lie anymore. So by this time, I'm like,
what? I'm sorry I hurt you, but at least I ain't got to lie no more. Did y'all hear that? Ooh. Oh my Lord.
like, say what now? So I'm screaming, I'm yelling. My son's upstairs. He comes down, goes back up because I was like, everything's fine. But my head is like hurting like really, really bad, guys. So I come back to my bathroom to try to get some medicine. So I was like, let me take my blood pressure. Blood pressure was like 190 over 110, some crazy shit like that. So I was like, I gotta get to a hospital. So stand by. It gets more interesting. He was like, no, I don't know why you keep mentioning that name.
Stand by, it gets more interested.
So by this time, my head is banging and I know I need to go to the hospital. I know something is wrong.
Right.
So of course I'm crying. I'm hysterical, trying to put my clothes on. He's trying to touch me and pet me up like, oh, I'm just so sorry that I made you feel this way. Now, didn't really have any compassion in his voice, any of that kind of stuff. So I was like, don't touch me. So I drive myself to the airport. He was like, I'll drive you. I was like, I said, I'll take my chances. I drive myself to the airport. I get there. Blood pressure is off the charts. To the point, they're like, ma'am, you're about to have a stroke. You got to calm down. And I really couldn't even talk. So they were like, you got to calm down. So they call my doctor. We get the medicine. They try to get it under control. So I'm there for a couple of hours. So I come home and he's sitting on the couch eating Cheetos. Like, ain't shit happened, right? And he comes in like, oh, what they say? And I was like, they said, they got my pressure, kind of down because it went all the way down to go see a doctor in the morning. So that night I could not sleep. I cried all night long to the point when I got up that morning, I really couldn't even see. My eyes were so swollen. So I'm tore up, right? So I go out later that morning. He's upstairs. I come upstairs. I slept in another bedroom. He's around here like, 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 he having a good day and shit. Like, his burdens is light. Not heavy, but he's light. So I come up and then he's out in our family room. And I was like, look, I said, I don't know. And I'm still in the state confusion. So I was like, I don't know what happened last night. And I was like, I don't know what I've done wrong. Because by this time I'm blaming myself. I was like, I know I'm getting older, but I try to keep myself up. I try to look nice. Do whatever I can as a wife. I was like, I tried my best. So I don't even know what I could have done or what I can do. So I'm taking the blame. And he was like, oh, it's not you. Like, it's not you. So, but I'm like, no, like, it's gotta be me. He was like, no, he was like, you're a good wife. You've been a really good wife. So I was like, well, I'll tell you what, I was like, I'm confused here. I said, so what we need to do, I was like, I think we need to sell the house. Let's move away, try to start over. You go to counseling. I go to counseling. We do some counseling and we start over. So he was kind of like real smug, but like, well, if that's what you want, like, then we can.
Ma'am, your husband had a full-fledged relationship for years, couple of years with this woman, and you're willing to work it out? You're willing to solve the problem? You're willing to go to counseling? It's not like it was one time. He had a relationship with this woman for years. And what this is what I don't like about women, and especially Christian women, is he done showed you who he is and you still trying to stay with him. Or we could go to counseling. Let's sell the house, move away, start over. No, ma'am. No. Oh my God.
Do that. So I was like, well, what about her? Are you going to stop seeing her? So he paused for like 20 seconds and kind of tilted his head to the side. He was like, I ain't gonna tell you I'm gonna stop seeing her. And I was like, then you want a divorce? He was like, oh, I don't want a divorce. He was like, I ain't gonna.
So you see how she is solving the problem. We could move away, sell the house, start over. And he's like, I ain't stopped seeing her. I want to continue to see her. This is what we do, women. We try to solve the problems for these men instead of them letting them tell us what they're gonna do.
Nobody fuck up my money. And I was blown away.
Ooh, this is scandalous. Okay, this is person.
Y'all, when he hit me with I don't want a divorce, but I'm gonna keep seeing her because I ain't gonna let nobody fuck up my money. Let me tell you something. That was definitely the wrong answer and told me everything I needed to know about him, about the marriage.
No. When he told you He'd been seeing her for a couple of years. That should have told you everything you need to know about him and about your marriage. Gail. Let me hurry up and get through this because I gotta go do another show.
What I needed to do next. So for the next couple of days, I'm still in a state of confusion. And I remember once I found the girl's name, I went to Instagram, good old Instagram, go look there, you find anything. So I look up her name, I see her, and I'm really like feeling down. I'm like, oh my God, like she's beautiful. He wants him someone younger. Like I ain't all that. So I'm just tearing my ass up. So, my girls called later that day. My best friend called that morning and was checking in on me, and I was trying to hide it from her, but I couldn't. So I'm like in a ball of tears, tell her what's happened. She's in a state of shock. And usually she always got something to say, but she was left speechless. So she calls my other girlfriend. She calls. We all in a state of shock. Everybody's tore to pieces. So that day, after, I tell them what happened and everything, everybody, we just call it, we all were shocked. So the next day I go and meet with them because I see this girl on Instagram and I'm telling them about it. So they asked me to come out to have lunch with them, my two girlfriends. So, because they needed to tell me something. So, and I bring it up. I was like, well, I see her pictures on Instagram. I was like, she's pretty. And they were like, girl, she ain't all that damn pretty. Like, that's filters and plastic surgery and a whole bunch of other shit. Like, girl, it ain't even all that. And they were like, and kind of, like, we ain't trying to offend you. Y'all actually kind of favor each other. Like, she may be the younger version of you. So I'm thinking, like, I don't look like her. Like, that girl's, pretty. Like, I don't look like that. So in the interim, I was like, well, at least I said they don't have any pictures of themselves up on her Instagram. So my girlfriends was like, that's why we needed to meet with you, because they were like, there is a picture out there. So by this time, y'all, I'm devastated. So our food tries to come. We have Papa Do's. Food comes. I'm so distraught from tears and looking a hot mess. Couldn't really even eat. And we went into how bad off I was. You bad off when you can't do this. We need to pray over our food. I couldn't even put my hands together to pray. I've never had that happen. I couldn't even pray. I literally put my head down on the table while they were saying a prayer and cried. And basically, they made me try to eat because I really could not eat anything. So it was just a complete mess. So when I get home, my husband, he was actually gone. I think he was gone, but he claimed he had a trip or something. And then he tells me when he did come home, like, well, I need to talk to you because I think we need a little break. So he was like, you need a break so you can think about some things. And I was like, huh? Like, I need to think about some things. He was like, yeah, you need a break so you can think about some things.
Girl, he said.
So yeah, to add insult to injury, he tells me he needs to go away for 3 to 6 months for me to think about some things and to think some things over. And I was like, I need to think some things over. I was like, I don't need to think about anything. He was like, yeah, I need to go away so you can think about some things. So I'm like, okay. And this is the straw that broke the camel's back when he said this. And I knew that this man actually had no love for me and that he had been planning and plotting for a long time. He was like, yeah, and if you find somebody in that 3 to 6 month time frame, I'll understand. Now, who tell their spouse that? If they really love you, they don't want you all sleeping with nobody else. Not if everybody normally, ain't nobody sick or doing anything like that. So I knew then, I was like, I don't have but one other option. Divorce is the only option for me. And I tell you, I prayed about it, asked God about it. And when I tell you, he was sending me signs. If you listen, he will send you signs. And he sent me sign after sign after sign, y'all. So I did. I filed for divorce. And each day I've gotten stronger. And I think my husband thought that, I don't know what he thought about me or what kind of person I was, but because he knew how I felt about infidelity. And I always used to tell him, hey, if something ever happens, tell me on the front end. Because I'm gonna hurt one way or the other, on the front end, on the back end. Just let me know, but don't play me for no fool. So he thought he got boo-boo the fool over here. So I was like, okay. And from this girl that you saw in the video, yeah, she knew about me. He would have her at restaurants, hotels, games, had other women serving me my drinks. They'd feet under my table speaking to me, and he's sleeping with all these women. That is humiliating, y'all. So you know what? I was like, if you give me shit to taste, I'm gonna let you taste it back. So to the airport video, yeah, I was shocked. I was dismayed because that was my first time seeing them. I knew eventually that I would see them out somewhere. It's Atlanta, and hey, it's a small town. So it's a big town, but it's a small town too. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try my best to be classy and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes that just don't work because when you go in a gutter, when people go gutter with you, and I have to apologize to Michelle Obama, girl, when you said that when they go low, we go high. That ain't my motto. Because when they go low, I go lower. I go gutter. I'm going gutter. I'm going to swim down with the rest with your ass. So I was like, okay, yeah. So she knew, and she was on Instagram sending all her little subliminal messages and all of that. Like, yeah, okay. I got you, girl. But y'all, when all this is over, I got a little story to tell about her and the rest of his story too. Our story. It's actually our story because it's my story to tell. So I'll share more with you all. But let me tell you something that's a cautionary tale. If you all want to move on, just say you want to move on, y'all. Because if you fuck around, you definitely going to find out. And just like him, my husband got the 1 and the 2. Be good. Y'all hear from me later. Bye.
She said you going for around and find out. Lord have mercy. Okay, y'all. So that was part 1. Okay. So then the cousin hit me up and they hit me with this one. And I'm like, my mouth was on the floor. Because I was like, girl, what? Wait a minute. I was like, cousin, what you said? All right. So this is the other part that the cousin sent me. Okay. So this is her coming back again to tell us more. Okay.
Hey y'all, I'm gonna address this part about the start of my relationship with my husband, and I'm gonna be done. And you can say what you want to say, do what you want to do. I mean, it is what it is, and that was almost 30 years ago. But when I was introduced to him, I was told he was not married. I only found out later that he was. So I told him then that I did not deal with married men, and that I didn't want to do anything to some other woman that I didn't want done to me. And I meant that, and I still hold to that. So of course he gave me the stand that, you know, we've been having problems and all that kind of stuff. And whenever I would talk to him, I would tell him he would try to be hitting on me, but I would knock it right down because I wasn't attracted to him. My husband was overweight, morbidly obese, actually. But he was a nice guy. But when I would talk to him, I would encourage him to stay with his wife and kids. And I thought he thought that was the oddest thing, but that's what I would do. I would encourage him because I didn't like him like that. And I was like, you're married, so this ain't going anywhere anyway. So he kept asking me, like, you know, like, what if I was divorced? Because she and I having problems and all that. And I was like, well, if that's the case, you need to get your problem handled. I said, I can't even think about ever even dating you or doing any of that because you're still married. So lo and behold, he tells me that he's going to divorce her. He started his process, and that, you know, he wanted me to be his girl and all that kind of stuff. Actually gave me some diamond earrings to let me know. He was like, this is to let you know that I'm super duper serious about this thing. So I was like, well, okay then, because during this whole time, we had no intimate relationship, any of that, for like 3 months. Because actually I was calling him Al Bundy, and he didn't even know why I was calling him that, because he was like, why you always call me Al Bundy? And I was like, because you married with children, and I don't mess with Al Bundy, so whatever, right? So once he started his divorce proceedings, he asked me would I date him. So I did. So there may be some fault there where I started dating him before his actual divorce was final, but I made sure that he had filed divorce because that's what he told me. So we did take a trip to the Essence Music Festival the first year, and a phone call came in, and, you know, I'm assuming that it was his wife, but the way he responded to the call let me know that, you know, basically something was up and that he probably had lied to me. So when we get off the phone, I was like, I thought you filed for divorce. Like, why was that conversation going that way? He didn't really have too much to say. But he was like, well, no, I talked about it, but I was gonna file. I'm still supposed to reach out and file when I get back and all that kind of stuff. So of course I was furious because I was like, you've lied to me. Like, why would you, tell a lie like that? You know, the only reason I came with you on this trip was because you told me you had filed and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking everything kosher with them, and that I didn't have anything to do with that. Because he told me in the beginning, like, no, she and I having issues, and if I file for divorce, it has absolutely nothing to do with you. So I was like, well, okay then. So like I said, I wasn't attracted to him at first. He was a really nice guy, really nice guy. He's a professional guy, was president of a company and all that kind of stuff. But I had my own thing. I was working. I was a single mom doing my own little thing. So I didn't really need him for anything. But the only thing that I'll say about that was, I did start dating him after he filed for divorce. And I think from the time I met him to the time he divorced was like a 10-month span. So those first 3 months, I didn't say anything to him, like romantically, because I was not attracted to him. And that is for real. If you see a picture of him before, you'll know why, but he was a nice guy. So I'm just saying. I'll say that, maybe me dating him before the divorce was final was wrong. And I'll take accountability for that, but I can't go back, 30 years now and correct that. I'm just trying to move forward and do what's right. But, Miss Thing is trying to like paint this narrative like, oh, she was doing the same thing. Not the same thing at all, because my whole time I was encouraging him to stay with his people. She did not. I have the text messages between them from the day they met to, all the things that he was telling her, the things she was telling him, and telling him that she didn't have anything and that she left her family with just the clothes on her back, and, just this little sob story for him. So I guess he went with it. But like I said, this was originally about me posting a video of me seeing them for the first time in the airport. So I ain't judging her. I ain't gonna judge him. Like I said, I'm not, but it ain't like I willfully went out and decided like, I'm going to go and destroy his family. It was nothing like that. So a lot of us were deceived. A whole bunch of us were deceived. So that is what he has done. That's what he continues to do. So, I'm gonna let it be what it is. And like I said, once we get further down the road in this process, I can share some things. I don't know how to share the receipts on here. I thought you could only do videos. So anybody that knows how you can post pictures and all of that of the text messages, I'll show you that. I ain't got no lie to tell. And the whole time I never talked to my husband's former wife. Only conversation we ever had was when she would bring the kids over and stuff like that. But she never said anything to me about me being the cause. But I did find this out, that after she found out that he and I was breaking up, she told someone that she was like, oh, she finally found out after all these years. Like, she finally found out who he really is. Wow. Because I think I mentioned in the early video about him telling me about how she was not having any kind of intimate relationship with him. And he thought it was because she was depressed and, had some postpartum and all of that. Turns out, word got back to me. She was like, I wasn't depressed, or I didn't have postpartum either. It was because I was tired of being in the doctor's office because he kept giving me stuff.
Jesus.
So, I'm gonna just leave it there, guys. And like I said, once all this is over, I'll come back and give you plenty of details. So old girl can keep telling all the stories she wants, but they hanging, they doing their thing. I just got a message from a woman this morning who saw them out in Dallas last night at True Lux and said, old girl got pregnant by her husband some years ago while she lived in California. So she was like, she's all about the money. So, and she is. And I'm telling you, y'all, I've lived a privileged life, but I've earned everything I've got here in this household. When he was sick, when he was doing all his other stuff, when he had to get shit wiped off of him, she wasn't here. I was wiping shit, cleaning up vomit, and all the things that a wife would do. So for better or worse, I stuck in between all of that. So like I said, I'm gonna end this right here. You can say what you want, judge how you want, but it's all good. I'm gonna be good in the end. I was just sharing and hoping that my story would empower someone else to not be embarrassed, to stand up on your own, but it is what it is, and I'm living for today. Hope y'all have a good one.
Wow. So y'all, people are saying this is her karma. She started dating him before he was actually divorced from the other wife. See, my thing is, this is why I talk about doing research and studying and Googling and go down to the city record, go down to the morgue if you have to, about these men. Okay, so let me know what y'all think, honey. It's getting really messy. I did see a video on, I think, Chronicles Speaks channel. I'll probably see if I can run that back of all the things she's doing. She's sending letters and emails. Girl, this is messy, honey. This is messy. But anyways, let me know what you think. I absolutely love you and adore you. I know a few of you have emailed me about Ready to Love. I'm going to try to catch up this week, okay? I know I'm behind, but I'm going to try to catch up this week. I absolutely love you, adore you, darlings, and the Bible study. Yes, girl, I know. Do I have time to do a Bible study? I absolutely love you, adore you. Mwah! Let me know what you think about this foolery. Bye, darlings. Oh, and remember, the book club, 23 Tasks of Guys. And if you're signing up for the husband profile course, you must email me. Love you. Talk to you later. Bye.